What is the ego? Where does it come from? And how do you know when it's running the show? Those are the questions today. If you've read my book, The Monster Under the Bed, Uncovering the Lie That Drives Us, it's really an explanation of the genesis of what becomes your ego. The survival brain wiring that we're born with, the instincts to have to be accepted, have to be acceptable. That's an emotional impulse that is coming out the second, maybe even before birth. I'm not going to speak to that, I don't know. But I know it's a very early felt instinct that our species has to be taken care of. So from a survival point, we just are running a radar continually, emotional radar that says, am I okay? Am I okay? Do you like me? Do you like me? Am I acceptable? Will you take care of me? Is basically the bottom line that's asking, without language or without logic. Remember, this is early little baby stuff running. And so without your logical brain that doesn't fully develop till mid-20s, you have no accurate way of answering that question, which is why the lie that we adopt when we're little, at what age I don't know, and if it's a one-time or a culmination, I don't know, doesn't really matter, but it happens when we're young. The decision we make emotionally is that we're not okay. And we have no way of not making that decision, because it would take logic to understand that why your parent is upset today is because they just got fired, or just, you were putting your hand on the stove and they needed to slap your hand to say no, or you got in trouble. So you internalize that emotionally, inaccurately, that something's wrong with you. That is the function of the survival brain, to make sure that you are taken care of. So it doesn't really serve us. In fact, I joke and say our survival brain's going to actually kill us these days, because it doesn't, for the sake of how it evolved, the need for it today is not as, maybe there's some need for it, but it's not to the degree it was as we evolved. So we're at the mercy of it right now. That's the monster I talk about. The monster is the lie that we adopted emotionally, that we're not okay. And we have different configurations of that. We might say, I'm not good enough, I'm not special, I'm not perfect, I'm not smart. Or really, you're going to say it, I'm dumb, I'm average, I'm unworthy. It's going to be this sense, an emotional decision made. So when I talk about ego, the ego, survival brain only speaks in fight or flight. Basically, fight or flight messages back. It says, hide, don't let them see you're not okay. Or 2, you better be okay, because they've got to take care of you. So go make sure you're okay. Prove it. Prove. Fight. Work. Do. Accomplish. Be smart. Be athletic. Be perfect. Be beautiful. Be worthy. And so our skills largely today have come from a fighting energy from the survival brain. So I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. It's yes. It's yes, good, and not. Because when you're acting under that energy, you can never be good enough. You can never be smart enough. You can never, because it was a lie to begin with, that you needed to do something. Your soul, the true you, is a piece of God, is pure, unconditional love. And you were unconditionally loved, worthy, perfect, complete. Never, ever needed to do anything to be worthy or perfect or loved. But we didn't know that, right? Because we didn't have that brain. So now comes in the ego, because now it's connected to those fight and flight messages. Our identity has been created by the flight. I think flight happened first, to be honest with you. When I really think about it, that little baby, that little child that went, uh-oh, when they inaccurately decided they weren't okay or smart or pretty or perfect or worthy, they decided that first. They didn't decide it. See, it wasn't a thought, it was a feeling. Don't let them see, don't let them know. And we still have those today, don't we? We're still at the mercy. But then at the heels of the flight message came fight. No, you've got to be. So both of those are intertwined. And they're still in the driver's seat without investigation. They're in the driver's seat today. So the ego was created from primarily fight messages, because I've got to be right, I've got to prove, I've got to make sure everyone knows. And then they're embedded with deep, deep, deep emotional thought wiring, your beliefs that have been cemented and embedded over time. So your identity is is completely steeped in monster energy, is what I call it. And so what we see play out today, like listen to little kids, listen to 2 and 3-year-olds. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. Mom, it's his fault. No, it's your fault. No, it's my fault. Like, think now put it more into socially acceptable language, and then watch social media, watch the news, watch people in your work, watch your family, we become more socially acceptable, and when our logical brain is fully developed, it's already been conditioned, hijacked, programmed by the emotional monster brain, the emotional brain, the survival brain. So without investigation, you're just going to learn how to rationalize, justify, and defend what your inner 2-year-old programmed. In fact, if you're listening to this with your logical brain right now, and many times people have a hard time even accepting the fact that they are emotionally, illogically wired, because you feel so logical, don't you? You feel so right. You feel so, because you think these two things are very much not connected. Your logical brain and your emotional brain are not in sync. That's why you don't understand why you do things you do and why you don't do the things you should do. They're really not connected. And who's in the driver's seat without investigation is your emotional monster ego brain. So what do you do about it? Well, number one, just pay attention to, number one, how you feel. That's going to give you, if you look at it from observer and not be ready to defend it, but you actually move to observing of it like a science project, watch and see, what's your energy source? Is it a compelling, driving, manic kind of have to do something a certain way, I have to do like that? Or is it like more from a service, calm, yeah, that would feel good. See, there's two different kinds of satisfaction. The ego wants its satisfaction, and your soul is calling for satisfaction through alignment. So it's just something to think about today. I'd love your thoughts on it. I'm still discovering where my ego's in the driver's seat, and I don't know that we ever are free of it, but we can actually rewire and move to observer and actually love that part of us. That was that little scared kid. That's who the monster is under the bed, is your little self that didn't understand, didn't know